The night above Earth was calm, but space was never truly silent. Between the stars, something waited. At first, there was only static, broken signals moving through the void, scattered whispers no one understood. But then it came. A single transmission, sharp and clear, cut across every human channel. It was not human. The voice was cold, layered with tones that no throat could make. It spoke with pride, with cruelty. Humans, your time ends. We have seen your colonies. We have seen your weakness. War begins now. And then the stars lit with fire. The first attack was not on Earth, but on the outposts at the edge of the solar system. Human miners, engineers, and small defense ships were caught in sudden light. Alien warships, black like shadows, poured energy across the stations. Metal cracked. Voices screamed across broken radios. Families hiding inside domes saw fire ripple across the sky. There was no chance to fight back. The galaxy believed Earth was small, slow, and weak. For years, humans had been laughed at by other species, called the scrap collectors, the children of rust and the forgotten world. The attackers thought this war would end before it truly began. But they were wrong. On Earth, the signal spread in minutes. In underground command halls, alarms echoed. In orbit, old stations powered up weapons not used in decades. Across the planet, military fleets that had been silent for years came alive. Yet in those first hours, humanity seemed broken. Colony after colony sent final messages. We cannot hold. They are too many. Tell Earth we tried. The aliens pushed forward, burning everything. The galaxy watched with cold eyes. Many believed humanity would surrender. Many believed Earth would kneel. But in the heart of the planet, something different moved. Beneath the mountains, inside the deep command bunker of Earth's defense, an old man listened to the signals of death. His hair was gray, his voice heavy, but his eyes were sharp. He was a commander from wars long past. His name did not matter anymore. Only his words mattered. "Transmit the code," he said. The officers around him froze. They knew what it meant. The code was old, forgotten by many, but written in the heart of Earth's war doctrine. It was not a message of peace. It was not a message of surrender. It was a promise. The code read, "No mercy. Burn everything." At that same hour, in the shadow of the Earth, the first human fleet moved. They had been waiting, hidden, silent. Their ships were not polished or perfect. They were built from scrap, reforged metal, and burning engines. But they were heavy, dangerous, and alive. The flagship was the Solar Wrath. Its hull was dark, cracked, with glowing red veins as if magma ran beneath the metal. On its side, words were painted in white. "We are fire." One by one, the ships powered on. Engines roared. Lights blazed across the dark. From the surface, people looking up saw streaks of fire moving across the night sky. They cheered, cried, and prayed. Humanity was no longer silent. Humanity had answered, but the enemy did not wait. At the edge of the planet's orbit, alien warships gathered, black triangles glowing with blue energy. They opened fire first. Beams of light cut across the void, burning toward Earth's fleet. Explosions flared. One human ship, still climbing from the atmosphere, was ripped apart before it reached formation. The crew of the Solar Wrath did not turn away. "Hold line," the captain ordered. His voice was calm, steady, but his hands shook with rage. "Let them fire first. We will answer last." The waiting was heavy. Alien weapons smashed against human shields. Hulls cracked, fire spread, alarms screamed, but the fleet held. They let the enemy believe humans were only enduring, not striking back. Inside every human ship, silence grew. Soldiers gripped weapons. Pilots stared at screens filled with fire. Engineers patched systems with bare hands, blood, and sweat. Each person knew what the order would be. Each person felt the weight of it. Finally, the captain spoke. "Transmit Earth's reply." And then came the words that every ship heard, every soldier carried, every child on Earth whispered like a prayer. "Burn the stars." The command was given. The fleet answered. The solar wrath roared alive, firing beams of blazing white fire brighter than suns. Other ships followed, pouring light across the void. The silence of patience turned into thunder. Alien warships, once so proud, were suddenly engulfed in flame. Their shields cracked, their formations broke. For the first time, the attackers saw what humanity truly was, not weak, not broken, but fire-forged in survival. In the darkness above Earth, the first battle of the war had begun. The signal of war had been answered, and it was answered with fire. The flames of the first clash still burned in the black void when silence fell again. Alien wreckage drifted across orbit like broken bones, glowing with fire. But the war was far from over. The enemy was not destroyed. They were regrouping, and they were angry. From deep space, more alien fleets began to move. Long shadows stretched as massive ships, larger than mountains, approached Earth's system. Their commanders spoke in strange voices across encrypted channels. They mocked humanity again. They burn like children with fire, one alien said. They cannot stand against the tide, another answered. They will bow. All humans bow in the end, but humans did not bow. On Earth, the commanders gathered in silence. The old man, the one who had sent the order, stood over the war table. His voice was heavy but sharp. We will not kneel. They want to know our vow. Then let them hear it. All across Earth, messages were sent, not in secret, not hidden. They were broadcast wide, open to every corner of the galaxy. Every alien race who had called humans weak heard the words. Every soldier fighting in orbit heard the words. Even the enemy ships listening with contempt could not escape them. The vow was simple. We fight not to live. We fight so the galaxy remembers who we are. We fight so the stars carry our fire. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not forgive. Humanity burns. The galaxy trembled at the message. For centuries, humans had been silent. They had been the forgotten ones, seen as too young, too fragile, too foolish to matter. But now, every species understood. Earth was no longer silent. In orbit, the solar wrath stood at the center of the human fleet. Its hull still glowed with cracks of molten light, the scars of battle alive across its body. Inside, the captain walked slowly across the command deck. His crew waited, eyes sharp, hands steady. They had heard the vow. They carried it in their chests like fire. Captain, a young officer said, voice trembling, enemy fleets are forming lines, hundreds of ships, more than we can count. The captain did not look away from the window where alien lights burned in the distance. His jaw tightened. Numbers mean nothing when the fire spreads. The officer swallowed hard, then nodded. Outside, the aliens moved closer. Their warships stretched across the void, blue energy glowing along their sides. They believed Earth's vow was nothing but words. They believed humanity had only anger, not strength, and so they fired first again. Beams of cold light ripped across the dark, striking at human ships. Explosions tore metal. One cruiser cracked open, spilling fire into space. The aliens cheered, thinking victory was near. But then, something changed. Humanity had prepared. From the shadows of Earth's moon, more ships emerged. They were not polished war machines. They were carriers rebuilt from old stations, freighters turned into battleships, mining rigs reforged into weapons of war. Their bodies were scarred, their metal uneven, but they carried heavy cannons that glowed red like the heart of fire. The alien commanders hesitated. They had not expected more. And the humans struck. The hidden fleet roared alive, weapons burning. Entire lines of alien ships broke under sudden fire. Their shields cracked, their hulls shattered, their voices screamed across broken radios. Inside the solar wrath, the captain raised his hand. "This is our vow," he said softly. "Let it echo across the stars." The human fleet moved in unison, every ship striking with fury. They were not fighting to survive, they were fighting to make the galaxy remember. The aliens tried to counterattack. They threw more fire, more ships, more power. But every time they struck, humans answered harder. Even broken ships kept fighting even when burning. Crews welded weapons by hand, turned wreckage into blades, transformed ruin into fire. This was the vow. To fight with everything, even with nothing. To burn until the stars carried their memory. Hours passed. The battle stretched long and bloody. The space around Earth glowed with wreckage, with fire, with light brighter than any sun. And still humanity did not bend. On the alien flagship, their commander growled in rage. His eyes glowed as he watched his fleets fall. "They are not weak," he said at last. "They are mad. They are fire itself." But the humans did not hear him. They did not need to. Back on Earth, in the underground command hall, the old man listened to the reports. His people stood around him, exhausted, but alive. Some wept, some smiled, but all stood taller. He raised his hand, and once again his voice carried across every channel, across every ship, across every corner of the galaxy. "Transmit the order," he said again. His voice was a whisper, yet it carried like thunder. The order was simple, the same words as before: burn the stars. And once again the sky above Earth was filled with fire. The void above Earth was no longer silent. It burned. Wreckage from fallen ships floated like broken bones, glowing with sparks. Flames flickered across the darkness where oxygen bled from ruptured hulls. For the first time, alien fleets had tasted human fire, and the taste left fear in their mouths. But fear did not end the war. It only sharpened it. More alien fleets arrived from the deep. Their numbers were endless, wave after wave of dark shapes entering orbit. Their commanders believed sheer size would crush humanity. One fleet could fall, they told themselves. But the tide could never be stopped, and so they came, filling the stars with their shadows. On the bridge of the solar wrath, the captain stood with hands behind his back. The deck was lit by red alarms, voices racing through comms, but his eyes stayed on the stars. "Report," he said. "Hundreds of ships incoming," the officer answered. His voice cracked, but he steadied himself. "They cover half the sky." The captain's jaw tightened. For a moment, silence stretched. Then he said, "Good. Then half the sky will burn." The humans did not wait this time. With the vow burning in their hearts, the fleet surged forward. Carriers, frigates, cruisers all lit their engines and cut across the void like fire unleashed. Their cannons glowed, their hulls scarred, but their spirits were harder than iron. Alien ships fired first, filling the void with cold blue beams. Light cut across space, smashing against shields, breaking metal, tearing through smaller human craft. The battlefield shook with explosions, but then came humanity's answer. From the solar wrath's core, a beam erupted, white fire brighter than any sun. It tore straight through the enemy's front line, cracking shields, ripping apart ships in a single strike. Other human ships followed. Cannons unleashed molten rounds that cut like burning spears. Missiles streaked across the black, leaving trails of flame before detonating into firestorms. Alien formations broke. The sky, once dark with their shadows, now blazed with light. Human fire spread across the fleet like a storm of vengeance. Inside one alien ship, the commander screamed as alarms blared. "They fight like madmen. They burn even as they die." And it was true. Human ships that took damage did not stop. Crews patched holes with their own hands, welding metal with fire while still firing weapons. A ship with half its hull gone still rammed into an alien cruiser, tearing both apart in flame. Even wreckage was used. Broken ships turned into blades, wrecked carriers launched as burning meteors toward the enemy. This was the difference. Other species fought with pride. Humans fought with rage, with survival, with memory. On Earth's surface, billions watched the sky. They saw streaks of fire cut across the blackness above, saw explosions burn like new stars. Children clutched their parents' hands. Elders whispered prayers, soldiers cheered even as they cried. Every person knew the vow. Every person felt the vow. We burn so the galaxy remembers. Hours stretched into what felt like days. The battle was endless, wave after wave of fire and steel. Alien fleets fell, replaced by more. Humans bled, but still they fought. And slowly, something began to change. The alien advance faltered. For every fleet they sent, they lost half. For every ship they destroyed, humans took 3 more with them. Their commanders, once confident, now spoke with fear. "Pull back. One voice shouted across their channels. "They are not breaking," another cried. "They are not human. They are fire." On the solar wrath, the captain's eyes burned as bright as the flames outside. His voice was calm, steady, cutting through the chaos. "Advance," he said. "Push them back. Burn the sky." And the fleet obeyed. They drove forward, deeper into the alien formation. Ships moved like wolves in a hunt, fast, ruthless, relentless. Explosions lit their path, and behind them only wreckage remained. One by one, alien commanders began retreating. Their ships turned, engines burning as they fled into the void. Some tried to regroup, but the humans pressed harder, giving them no chance. For the first time in centuries of galactic wars, the galaxy watched an enemy flee from Earth. But victory was not without cost. Human ships burned too. Whole crews were lost, names turned into ashes drifting among the stars. The fleet, though victorious, carried scars that would never heal, yet even in grief the vow stood strong. Every fallen ship was not seen as a loss but as fuel for the fire. Every broken hull was another spark that made the flames brighter. At last silence returned. The sky was filled with drifting wreckage, glowing embers, and faint light of fires that refused to die. On the command deck, an officer whispered, voice shaking. "Captain, the enemy runs." The captain's eyes stayed on the stars. His face was hard, but deep within, his heart ached for every name lost. Still, he stood tall. "They will come again," he said softly, "but they will never forget this night. From now on, every time they look at the stars, they will see fire." And across Earth, across every human ship, the vow echoed once more. We are humanity. We do not start wars. But when war comes, we burn everything. The battle above Earth had ended, but the war was not over. Space was littered with wreckage, broken hulls, drifting bodies, flames that refused to die even in the vacuum. Humanity had defended its home. But every commander knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would return, and so humanity chose not to wait. From the command hall beneath the mountains, the old man spoke once more. His words carried across every channel, to every ship, to every survivor who had fought in the burning sky. "Earth stands," he said, "but Earth will not hide. We will carry the fire to their worlds. We will burn until they remember." It was the turning point. For the first time in history, humanity's fleets did not stay to defend. They prepared to strike outward into alien space. The order spread like a storm. Shipyards across the planet lit up with fire. Old factories reopened, turning metal into weapons. Civilians volunteered, leaving behind homes to crew the endless ships. Engineers welded armor by hand. Soldiers sharpened blades and loaded cannons. The vow was alive in every breath. We burn so the stars remember. The alien spies who remained on Earth sent back reports in fear. They had expected Earth to hide, to kneel, to break. Instead, they saw a world rising, building, ready to bring fire to the galaxy. And the galaxy trembled. On the solar wrath, the captain stood at the front of the command deck. His face was scarred, his uniform torn, but his eyes blazed with the same vow as his people. Around him, his officers reported progress. "New weapons installed, Captain. Plasma cannons are fully charged. Reinforcements from Mars colonies have joined the fleet. Carriers are ready to deploy." The captain listened, then spoke with a calm voice that shook the deck with its weight. "We are no longer defending. From this day, we are the storm. We do not wait for war. We carry it." His words spread to every ship, to every crew member, to every soldier who stood at their post. And when the order came to launch, they answered with one voice. Burn the stars. The fleets left Earth. Engines flared, cutting across the black void like rivers of fire. Billions watched from the surface, seeing streaks of light vanish into the darkness, carrying with them the fury of a world that refused to kneel. The first target was chosen. It was not a capital, not a fortress. It was a supply world, an alien colony built on rich fields of crystalline energy. It had fed the fleets that attacked Earth. Its people had cheered when human colonies burned. Now they would see fire themselves. The fleet arrived without warning. Alien patrols saw light in the distance and laughed at first, thinking humans too foolish to come so far. But then they realized the truth. It was not one ship. It was not a single fleet. It was an army of fire. The humans struck without hesitation. Beams tore across the sky. Missiles rained like burning meteors. Carriers unleashed swarms of drones that pierced shields and detonated deep inside enemy hulls. Alien cities below saw the heavens open in flame. Towers shook as shockwaves rolled across the ground. Civilians ran as the sky itself blazed with light. For the first time, alien children looked up and whispered the word humans with fear. The alien military scrambled. Fleets rose from the surface, weapons glowing, engines roaring. But humanity had already locked them in place. The solar wrath led the charge, its magma veins glowing brighter than ever. Its cannons roared, splitting entire warships apart in a single strike. The humans did not only destroy ships, they destroyed memory. They erased pride. They made the galaxy understand that Earth was no longer weak. One alien commander, watching his fleet fall apart, whispered with disbelief, "They were supposed to be forgotten. They were supposed to be nothing." But nothing burned brighter than fire. In orbit, the human fleet continued its assault. Wreckage filled the sky. Cities below burned. Smoke and flame carried across every corner of the colony. And still, the humans did not stop. This was their vow. On the solar wrath, the captain stood tall, watching the flames spread across the alien world. His face was hard, but his heart heavy. He knew civilians suffered, but he also knew the vow was clear: to make the galaxy remember. To make the war end not with mercy, but with fear. The old man's voice came again, broadcast to every ship. "Do not forget what they gave us. They gave us fire. Now we return it." And humanity returned it brighter than ever. Hours later, silence fell again. The alien world was broken, its fleets shattered, its cities smoking ruins. The humans had left their mark. The galaxy had seen the turning point. From this day forward, the war was no longer about survival. It was about memory. It was about fear. It was about fire. And as the fleet turned toward the next star, every human voice carried the same vow. We are humanity. We burn so the stars remember. The alien colony was gone, left in silence and smoke. Wreckage drifted across its skies like black scars, glowing faint red from the fires below. Humanity had struck its first world and the galaxy trembled. But the war did not end. Across the stars, whispers spread. Traders spoke of human fleets that burned worlds. Refugees spoke of skies turned to fire. Soldiers spoke of enemies who refused to die even when broken. And everywhere one name rose like a shadow across the galaxy. Humans, the aliens had called them children once. Scrap collectors, weaklings. Now they called them something else. The burners of stars. The alien empire, desperate to save face, sent its grand armada. It was the largest fleet they had ever gathered, drawn from dozens of systems filled with ships older than nations. They swore this would be the end. They swore they would erase Earth itself. But humanity did not wait to be erased. The solar wrath led the human armada into the heart of alien space. Its hull was scarred, glowing with red cracks like veins of magma. Around it flew carriers, frigates, and cruisers, each bearing scars, each carrying the vow. On the command deck, the captain stood in silence, staring at the map of the galaxy spread before him. Alien fleets filled the star systems ahead like a storm without end. But his voice when he spoke was steady. They think numbers win wars. But wars are not won by numbers. Wars are won by fire. And with that, the human fleet advanced. The final battle began on the edge of the alien capital system. The sky turned alive with light. Millions of beams, missiles, and fire cutting through the black. Alien warships moved in formation, disciplined, confident. They had every advantage. But humans had something else. They had the vow. Every human ship fought as if it were the last. Damaged cruisers rammed into alien battleships, detonating in fire so bright it blinded entire fleets. Fighters turned themselves into burning meteors, striking at enemy engines with no fear of death. Carriers released swarms of drones, each one carrying fragments of human rage, each one exploding deep inside enemy hulls. The galaxy had never seen such fury. On the alien flagship, their high commander shouted as his fleets broke apart, "They do not fear death. They welcome it. They fight as if fire itself carries them." And he was right. The humans fought with grief for every lost colony, with rage for every burned home, with pride for every vow spoken under the shadow of war. They fought not to win alone, but to burn so bright the galaxy would never forget. Hours passed. Systems fell. The alien armada, once so proud, began to fracture. Ships fled into the dark. Commanders screamed for retreat. The capital system, once untouchable, now shook with fear. On the surface of the alien capital world, civilians looked up and saw the sky blaze red. Their towers trembled as shockwaves rolled across the ground. For the first time in their history, they were the ones watching helplessly as fire consumed the heavens. The solar wrath pressed forward. Its cannons roared, splitting entire warships into ash. Its engines left trails of burning light. Inside, the crew fought without pause, hands bloody, voices raw but hearts burning brighter than ever. The captain gave the final order. Transmit the vow. And across the galaxy, on every channel, came the words that would never be forgotten. We are humanity. We do not start wars, but when war comes, we burn everything. We burn so the stars remember. The fleet struck the capital. Fire rained across its skies. Towers crumbled. Fleets shattered. The great empire that had once mocked Earth fell to its knees. And when silence came at last, only embers remained. But humanity did not stay to rule. The humans left nothing behind but fire and memory. Their fleets turned back toward the void, leaving wreckage glowing in their wake. The galaxy watched in fear and awe as the burners of stars disappeared into the black. Legends were born that night. Children of alien worlds whispered of humans as shadows in fire. Commanders warned their fleets never to provoke Earth again. Scholars wrote in trembling hands, "When humanity answers war, the stars themselves burn." And far away on Earth itself, the old man stood in his command hall. His face was pale, his hands weak, but his eyes were sharp. He listened to the silence that followed victory. Around him, officers whispered in relief, some even wept. He said only one thing: "Do not forget the fire. Do not let the galaxy forget." And they never did. The stars carried the memory, even centuries later, long after the ships had turned to dust and the voices of those who fought were gone. The galaxy still remembered. Whenever war came, whenever fire burned across the void, one name rose again: humanity. The ones who did not kneel, the ones who did not break, the ones who burned the stars.